So here we are. I'm in the sun in my in my stream backyard, and Michael's on our boat on the bay. And we were thinking this morning about the events in the world. We've had some real turbulent times here in the United States with the Las Vegas massacre. We have a very controversial president of the United States. Love him or hate him, you have to agree he's controversial. And so we were just talking about what is the consciousness viewpoint? What is the spiritual viewpoint? What is the higher level viewpoint of all of this turbulence? And I don't have a perfect answer, but I just thought it might be really helpful to offer a couple of ideas. One that I'll start with, and Michael, you can probably pick up on, is the spiritual truth that you spot it, you got it. So take that in for a minute. You spot it, you got it. So if you're looking at a public figure or somebody in the news, and they really agitate you, and your ire gets up, and you're really emotionally charged by that situation or that person, that's a mirror. That's an absolute mirror, and somewhat of a gift for you to look inside to say, what part of me has hatred? What part of me is anxious? What part of me is reactive? What part of me would like to act out? And use that as an opportunity instead of what I see so much. And I am guilty of it also. I look at things and I get upset and I get angry and I buy into headlines, and that doesn't move the world forward. That keeps us exactly stuck. And so my job, and I invite everyone listening, is to move us a little beyond that. What would it look like if we took a little half step beyond that? And so this idea of it's just a mirror, and if you spot it, you got it, might help heal the world a little bit more. Michael, does that make sense to you in the work that we do, in the tools that we teach? Do you have anything you want to?
Of course, from a projection viewpoint, it makes a lot of sense. And to take that a step further, it also makes sense that a lot of things won't change. We know there's many issues that won't change much in terms of, there's been some violence lately, and what's common to every time we have an uprising of violence, well, there's a few things going on. One, the news reports things that are interesting, and peace is not very interesting. So the fact that we have billions and billions of people on the planet being nice to each other escapes the news media, and so they only report on grisly, gory, violent things. And so to begin with, and if we take that in, if we take in sort of mainstream news, we just get the idea somehow that the world is just full of violence, when I don't believe that's the case. I believe that the violence is actually a tiny, tiny, tiny portion of it all. But the other thing that happens is we get polarization around all these public things. I noticed with the Las Vegas shooting, of course, it hadn't even happened for more than minutes before the guns are terrible, take the guns away. And then the other side comes up, you're not taking my guns, blah, blah, blah. It's not, and it almost doesn't matter what the issues are. What matters is that there's this polarization and people pushing against each other. And so I think that distracts us from solutions. So instead of saying, what's this violence about, and why does it keep popping up, and how can we really feel deeply into this and sort of get to the next level, whether it's from a projection viewpoint, like what's the violence in me that I want to get to, what's the collective or social societal violence, and what's the way to transform that. Well, I think we don't get there because we go into the realm of the mind, which is about duality, this or that, yes or no, on or off. So that binary language is what our mind speaks. And so we engage our mind, and instead of saying, it seems to me that the appropriate reaction when something pops up like this is to be to just have a bodily reaction, like what, and like stay in our bodies and just, what's that like to feel all those poor people that I had like a feeling in my stomach when I heard about it.
Well, and I think that's the power of these moments is it does bring us back down. It brings us in our head, and polarization, like you said, but it also brings us back down to a human emotional level. And so I think the message here is let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me, and let's do our own inner work to resolve whatever needs healing so that we can be a healing vibration in the world. So thank you.
Yeah. Well, and also remember, what we resist persists. So if I love Trump or I hate Trump, it's kind of the same thing. It's the energy of Trump. And so what in the field of potential, like the quantum field that we live in, like what we're doing is saying Trump, Trump, Trump. Doesn't matter if we love him, hate him, on that level, we're just creating more Trump.
Right.
And so, and there's a lot of directions to go with that, but I think one of them is to realize that resistance and acceptance, to kind of get that language that we're not going to get if we defend or we resist. What we're doing is saying, I'm going no deeper on this.
Right.
I'm staying at
Right.
this level, and I absolutely refuse to go deeper where there might be resolution or a solution.
Right. And so, again, we just invite people to use this as an opportunity to be the change, and let there be peace, and let it begin with you. And let's join forces. Forces is the wrong word. Let's join arms
Yeah.
up level.
And
So
let's watch our fundamentalism. When we start to shake our fist, I will not stand for this. This, whatever. When we get in our self-righteousness, we could just change the words to, I will not change ever on this issue. I will not go any deeper. I will not realize anything different. I will not soften to this. I'm stuck here, is what that means.
well, and
So
I think I
that's
actually think
okay.
that's an okay place for some people.
Sure.
Because that's where they are. But people who are listening today, that's not where you are to be. I'm convinced of it. The people I've attracted over the years are like us. And so it's just a little nudge, a little reminder that you don't belong there. You don't belong in the polarization place. There's plenty of people that belong there. And in an earlier segment, we talked about tension. That creates such tension for something new to be birthed. Great. But you who are listening are on the edge. You are leading in the front lines of evolutionary shifting. And so that's what we're inviting you to do.
Yeah. Maybe something to leave you with is like what you and I talk about a lot, which is like, how can we ask better questions?
Yeah.
If we're asking the same questions over and over and we're not getting answers, instead of just asking them harder, let's ask different questions. Instead of how do I solve this, let's say, who am I? Or what's trying to happen here? Or how do I align with what is, instead of trying to hold back the tide?
Thank you.